In this lecture we're going to talk about another very useful feature called layouts. When you receive the program, more than likely the very first indicator that loaded when you started the program was the JSC overall. The reason for this is that we have set the JSC overall as a default layout. In other words, by doing so, every time you start a program, it'll bring up the JSC overall. One of the reasons why we've done this is that it is always useful to see how the market has moved or is moving directly after you've done a download. The way to do layout is by selecting File, click on Layout, and there you can say here Save as Default Layout. That's the way this JSC overall actually came into your screen as a standard. You can also click on Clear Default Layout, and it will then remove the savings for the JSC overall, and you will not see it again after you have done that. If you wish to bring up another share as your layout or as your default layout, like for instance you may want to watch a specific share which you are fond of or has got a great interest in, you can save that share as your layout. Another advantage of using layouts is that it will actually save whatever you're doing on the screen. Let's show you, for instance, for the JSC overall. We now want to add some moving averages to you. Again, we click the right mouse button for the quick access menu. We select moving averages. And let's say I want to change these. We've already given you default figures, but you can change them to anything you like. So let's say I'm going to change this to a 7-day. The second moving average to 33-day, and the third moving average I'll keep at 200 days. I have not set any moving averages for the fourth and the fifth moving average. Note there are little ticks in here to say that I want to see all three of these. At this point you could also change the colors incidentally by just clicking on the color and selecting any different color you would like. In this case I'll bring the black back. And if you wanted to use these settings as your default from forever thereafter, you can just click on here Set as Default, and it will now save your own moving averages as a default. Click OK, and there you see the moving averages on the JSC overall. What it tells you is that the JSC overall is well below the 200-day moving average. It has broken through, but it's running quite back again to the 33-day moving average, and it broke through the 7-day moving average a little while ago. The way you can identify which moving average is which, if you look on this line here, when I place the mouse pointer on the moving average, you will see that one says close 200. If I put it over here, it says close 33, and if I put it on the black line, it says close 7. Now, if I now go back to File, Layout, and I save as default layout, then from now on, every time I open the program or start the program, the JSC overall will show up with these moving average already positioned. As I mentioned before, to clear that, call Layout, and I would say Clear Current Default Layout, and it tells me here, will you want to go ahead? I say yes, and the next time I come into the program there will not be the JSC overall any longer. This is not the only reason for using layout. Another very useful reason is when you want to see a number of shares at the same time on your screen and you wish to compare them. For this purpose I've created already two layouts to show you. If you click on File, Layouts, and now this time I select Open a saved layout. Now you will not have those in your program at this moment, but you can make your own layouts. And I've created two layouts. The first one I called Food Retail and the other one I called Gold, based on the gold market. Watch what happens when I open the Food Retail layout. Firstly, it closes the share that was on the screen. And now it loads 4 shares quickly, the one behind each other, and then places them in a perfect format on the monitor. In this case I wanted to watch what's happening in the retail market, or the food and drug section of the market, and I've therefore selected Pick n Pay, ShopRite, Spar and the JC index for the food and drug retailer section. On this way I can very quickly take an overlook of how this market is performing. The nice part of a layout is that once you are in a layout, any one of these shares or these graphs can be made the active one and you can actually work with it. For instance, if I wanted to put some indicators on ShopRite, all I need to do is click on ShopRite to make it active. Then let's say I want to put moving averages on here. Again, a right click, select moving averages. Let's say this time I want to select only the defaults as it's set in the program. I click OK, and bingo, now you got moving averages. But let's say I don't like the candle graph, as it doesn't give me in a smaller picture clear enough indication what how the share is performing, and now I'd like to change it to a line graph. I select Graph Styles, pick up line graph, and then I can change only that graph that I wish to change, in this case ShopRite, and now got a line graph. If I now save this layout, and because it's already got a name, I save it as layout, save layout. Alternatively, you could save layout as, so you can give it a different name. And now the next time I come into this layout, just close all these, bring them up again, open saved layout, food retail, and now it will load all 4 shares again exactly the way I saved them the last time, with ShopRite in a line graph with moving averages on it. Another nice feature of layouts is that if you have several layouts, you can actually load the one after the other. As you notice, I've got the retail section open at the moment, and now I want to open the gold market layout. I click on gold. It first closes the layout which is on your screen, and then immediately thereafter loads 4 new graphs, in this case all related to the gold market, like the index on the gold market, the gold price in rand terms, the gold price in dollar terms, and I've also added an ETF, which is a exchange traded fund. But you could well say, well, I also like to see the Kruger rand, and all you need to do is you need to add a Kruger rand to it by typing the letters KR, enter, and now you got the Kruger rand in front of you. You can go back to Window, Tile horizontally, and there you see immediately you now got 5 graphs on your screen. The original 4 plus the Kruger rand shown at the bottom here. Again, you can make any changes to these graphs as you like. Now if you now save this one as the gold layout, save layout again. Then if you now bring it up, just close it, open it up again, open a saved layout, select gold, and now it loads 5 shares or 5 indicators, and again it's back in the same form that you left it last time. If any of the graphs are too small to really for you to do your studies on, what you can do is you can maximize any one of these by clicking on the maximize button. But also what is very useful, any one of those, if you press on this little bar here, you can actually move the graph to the left. In other words, go back in time just for this graph that you're looking at. And you can obviously take it back again to where it was. So whilst you're in a layout, you can do an enormous amount of analysis like you would normally do in a normal share. To maximize it, now bear in mind that if the moment you maximize one of the graphs, the layout disappears, because now the screen that you are going to look at is predominant in front of you, and it cannot show the layouts behind there. So let me just maximize this, and there you go. There is new gold now in a maximized position, and you can now do whatever other studies you wish to do on the layout. This concludes our discussion on layouts, and I would strongly recommend that you use these in future. And the way to do this, let me just run through it once again. Let me click this. Let's say you now wish to bring up a layout, let's say on a thing like your currencies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load certain currencies, and all currencies start with the letter C. So type C hyphen, and I'm going to load the, let's say, the dollar euro, and I want to load another one, let's say the dollar in ZAR against the rand, and again I want to load another one, so I do C again, go a little lower here, and I want to look at the euro against the pound. And at least let's say I want to only watch those three on a regular basis. Again, you click Window, tile horizontally, and there you have the three currencies. So every day, let me just change this also to a line graph. And now you can see every one of the currencies, you can see how they perform. Now you can save this by going to layouts, and now you would select save layout as, and you put any name in here, and this time I'm going to call it currencies, and you click on save. Now this layout is saved, as you will see when you open saved layouts. There are the three now that we were working with recently. And just cancel this off. Again, to open any one of these individually, you just click on the maximize button, and there you are. Do use it. It's an exceptionally useful tool if you regularly want to refer back to a number of shares. At the same time, compare each share against each other, and this tool is very, very helpful in doing so.